We are now joined by John Richmond, the CEO of Richmond Vana LLC, to talk more about these changes. John, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. All right, let's detail these new changes and kind of the old law here.
Sure. So prior to the new budget passing, which just passed and actually was signed on May 27th, we had some existing laws that really protected people in car accidents. And we still have a lot of them, but there's some very significant changes. So there's three really that I think people really should know about. Number one, we have the serious injury threshold, which basically says in New York, hey, if you want to pursue damages for pain and suffering, you got to have a serious injury, and it's got to check one of these boxes. And there's certain things that are very objective, very easy, like a broken bone or if sadly somebody passes away. However, there was a section that no longer exists now, and it was called the 9180 rule. Basically says, hey, you're injured in an accident, and maybe it's not life-altering or serious forever, but you're going to miss a bunch of work. And really, in 90 days out of that first 180 since the accident, you're not really able to do the things you normally would do. That's generally how it goes. That is gone now. That has been eliminated. So people have to be very aware of that. Number two, the way the law used to be was that, hey, if you're in an accident, and let's say you're deemed to be 60% at fault, somebody else is 40% at fault. And let's just pretend that it's figured out like some way that or the way that we put it together, that your claim is worth $100,000. Well, you could still recover $40,000 minus, of course, your 60% responsibility. Now, however, if you're found to be a little bit over 50.1%, a little bit over 50% at fault for an accident, you can recover nothing. You're totally barred. So there's a lot of examples of where, maybe people are merging into different lanes, end up getting each other, there's split liability. No more coverage. And the last one, this is really important for people.
Is there, John, I want to stop you there.
Sure.
Did you say there is no more split liability, even if it is a determination where both drivers are equally at fault? Has that been removed?
No, if you're 50-50, you can still recover.
That is legal.
But 50% less. Yep, exactly. You got it. But it's at 50.1. And the last one, which is, I think, scary because we can all kind of imagine an instance where this can happen, is under certain circumstances now, there's going to be a cap on the amount that you can recover, a cap on non-economic damages. And one of the ways is if your insurance has lapsed just by 1 day, and you're not insured on the day of an accident, it's been 31 days or 32 days, depending on the month, you are capped at $100,000 of pain and suffering, regardless of whether or not you could have been not at fault at all, life-changing permanent injuries. You're capped. And so it's something you have to be aware of.
Okay.
I think a big question that people have is the state, and including the Governor Kathy Hochul, is touting that these changes that were made in the state budget over the past couple of weeks means individual car drivers or individual insurance holders are actually going to save money on their plans as a result of the changes, the new laws that were adopted, to the tune of maybe couple $100 per plan. Do you know that to be the case? Are people actually going to see savings as a result of this?
Well, look, I sure hope so, right? I mean, of course, auto insurance is too high. There's no question about that. We all should be paying less. But whether or not it's really going to have the impact that Governor Hochul said it will, remains to be told. We're just going to have to wait and see. It's not going to happen overnight. When we've seen this happen, or this tort reform, as it's called, happen in other states, if it does lower premiums, it usually takes quite a while. It could take up to 18 months to even 2 years for that to happen. So fingers are crossed.
That's 2 budget cycles, by the way, what we're just talking about, what John just said. 2 years for any savings in other states.
Yep.
What should people know if they get in an accident? How is fault really determined? Is there something we should be asking, police officers on scene? Is there something we should be saying to, our insurance company after, or something we shouldn't be saying to our insurance company after an accident?
Yeah, you have to be careful, but for sure we always say, and this stands true to today, after an accident, the most important thing is to get medical treatment. But after that, you need to be very careful about what you say to your own insurance company. Do not speak to the other insurance company. They will call you, try to befriend you, make it seem like you're supposed to give them all this information. Don't do that. Really, what you want to do is call a law firm that specializes in car accidents, right away, because what's going to be more important than ever right now is determining fault and getting those investigators out, those experts involved right away to make sure you're not, obviously held to be 50.1% at fault and unable to recover.
Just to make it clear for folks who are watching, if another person's insurance company does call you, you do not need to answer that call. And you certainly, if you do answer the call by mistake perhaps, you do not need to answer their questions. You can just politely say, no, thank you, and just hang up the phone. And that's it.
100%. And look, this is well documented that insurance companies are trained to defend, deny. They sometimes will even pull tricks where they'll send you quick settlement checks and hoping that you cash them and hoping that you sign something and that they send to you on your phone. You have to be very careful. You're under no obligation to talk to them, and really you shouldn't.
All right, very good. And then you mentioned other states have this type of law. About how many do you know?
I don't know the exact number, but it's been making waves or going through different states. Florida, something similar happened. Georgia, something similar happened recently. And now California is going through something as well.
Okay, very good.
Some great advice, John, today for these laws that are continuing to change. And this is one that we'll have to keep an eye on, particularly if the state is saying it's going to save people money, and that still remains to be seen and not the case in other states where this has happened. John, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely something drivers should at least be aware of.